Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to Hear Our Voices. Today's guest that we have is Yamaya. But let me just get some housekeeping out the way. So as you can see, or if you're listening, I'm gonna tell you what's going on right now. So this is our first podcast that we're actually recording our faces. So if you want to see us interact and do things, well, not do things, not really much to do. It's a podcast. We are here to show our faces, and you can see the faces of homelessness. I don't just hear the voices, but also see the faces of homelessness. So if you have not followed us on social media, you have not seen my face yet. So I'm Kate Davis, and welcome to our podcast. Thank you for coming back to hear our voices. I feel like now I have to really stay in tune because sometimes I'll be doing other stuff, but now you can see my face, and I'll be like, but yes. So follow us on YouTube. Also follow us on Facebook. I'm not the one who does Facebook personally, but if you want to follow me on my social media, is Kate Davis. Usually I'm in the comments or things like that. I usually am doing the Instagram and the TikTok and the Twitter. I also have a team that helps me out, but I'm the person mostly, honestly, now at this very current time. It might change in the future who's doing it. If you don't know, also, we're going to be doing a Spanish version of Hear Our Voices. So if you would like to be a part of that new adventure, we're taking people with resources who can speak Spanish. If obviously you can speak English or Spanish, it doesn't matter. But if you want to be a part of the podcast, you speak Spanish, we'd love to have you. If you're a person with lived experience, family homelessness in any of the states, we're taking you. This year we're opening it up. Before we were just doing New York City. Now we're opening it up. It doesn't matter what background you have or whatever, as long as you have been in family homelessness and anywhere in America, we are taking you. So I'm not sure if we're gonna go broader than that. I think America covers a lot of people. So I think we might be good for now, but right now that's what we're doing. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back and listening to us and watching us. Come on and help follow us on socials, please. Thank you. So do you want to say anything about yourself before we start?
My name is Yamaya. I live in New York. I am 30 years old. I'm a single mom of two and currently expecting. Um, I have my own place through City Feps. It was a journey to get here. It was a journey, but I'm here to tell my experience so somebody else that's going through the same thing can, go get the resources that I went to and get the help that I had got, and somebody that's going to lead you into the right place.
That's definitely true. That's what we're here for, to give out information and letting people know that you can overcome it. You're not gonna be in this situation forever. If you sit there and do nothing, then you'll probably stay there forever. But if you sit there and advocate for yourself and do what you have to do to get you and your family off your feet, and even not even a family person, just a homeless person in general off your feet, it can be done. It might take some time. The system kind of slow in some areas, but it could definitely happen. So, can you tell us a little bit how you end up homeless in the first place or house surfing? I don't know the full story, so when I'm learning, you guys are learning also. So I'm just gonna ask questions that I think that you would like to hear and what her journey was, honestly, in New York City. So yeah.
Okay, I went from living with my sister to my second son's father, like when he was after my son was born, and I had an older son already who was 9 years old. And I was, starting to like, okay, now I need my own place. I heard of City Feps through one of my homegirls who had complied with it. Um, she told me that it was something good to go about and I could get my own place. I was excited. I was very excited, like, oh, I'm gonna get my own place. I'm gonna get a voucher in my hand. I don't need to know anything, but I'm gonna get my own place.
Right. It sounds so easy, right? It's like a
It
magical
sounds
rainbow,
so
right? And a pot of
easy.
gold at the end. But
It sounds so easy. Like I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do it today, all gonna be done, and I'm gonna be in my place later on tonight.
right.
I have thought that it was just gonna be a 1, 2, 3 step, and the fourth place I would be in my place. But
Right.
not in New York City. It doesn't work like that. It was real hard. And I went through home bases to Path. I never stayed in Path, but I went there to like see of any resources that can help me after I done got my city vets. Like anybody that could have lead me into the right direction or finding an apartment. I went to Path first, and the name was like, no, home base supposed to help you with this. Went to home base. I wasn't getting much help from there. And then I just started doing my own research. And then home base came back to try to help me. And successfully, I got some help. But
Dang.
it wasn't nothing easy.
It sounds like a journey. Like
I'm still busting sweats right now from thinking about it.
I can't even imagine because honestly, I got denied a couple of times through PATH. I went through PATH initially. Home bases, honestly, I went to home bases before I even tried to go to the shelter, but they weren't any help. And I wasn't working enough, I think, for certain things. I just honestly I didn't know enough. And I think that's what it is. As you said, you kind of did your own legwork. And I was doing it, but I wasn't getting enough that I need to get. I feel like Google wasn't my best friend then, but now Google is my everything. Not, well, God is my everything, but he's second best. He's second best, and and I feel like there's a lot of information out there. It's just not given to people. People don't know 311 can help you out a lot. You go there, ask them questions, or you can go online 311 and put in what you think you need, and a bunch of things pop up and kind of help you because there's a lot of resources in New York City, and there's honestly I'm not saying these resources are fast because, as you know, anything with the government or city, it's go like snail mail. It goes very slow. But if you work
And
with the system, you could
let's say not all resources are good resources, okay?
that too. That's true.
That
That's true. But for the I would say most part, when you do get it, it's not gonna come right away. It's gonna take time. And you have to just look out for a lot of red flags also, because certain things you might think is the best thing to go, the way to go, and then when you look at it, like, maybe this is not for me. And a lot of things also you have to see what you qualify for, because some things are made for seniors, for youth, is made for adults only, not families. So you have to see which category you kind of fit in to kind of
yes.
put yourself in there and kind of shimmy your way in to even get what
Yeah.
you need to get. That's another thing too. You have to realize.
Yeah,
Um,
and especially when you have little kids and when you a family, it's hard to like try to get into a place that's not like a lot of things in the neighborhood, or it's not like a good neighborhood with schools in it, or you're just in one of the bad neighborhoods. Like, okay, we know I live in Brooklyn. East New York is not a good neighborhood, a good community. Brownsville is not a good community. So, when you hear like, oh, I have an apartment in such and such, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna come look at it. But the apartment is dope. The apartment is nice, but it's not the neighborhood you see that you want your kids to be raised in.
right,
Like, I have a 9-year-old son who wants to go to the store. Like in our old neighborhood, he used to go to the store by himself because the store was on the corner. I have a store on the corner for me too, but it's not that I trust you in this neighborhood. It's not that I don't trust you in this neighborhood. I don't trust nobody in this neighborhood because we're not
right,
from here. So, it's like kind of hard. But as in trying to find the right place and not trying to be picky and choosy, like, oh, I don't want that one. Oh, I don't want that one. Because as they look at it, like you're supposed to be homeless. You need an apartment. So you shouldn't be picking and choosing and like, oh no. But as women, we want the best for our kids. We don't want
right,
our kids to have to hear gunshots in the middle of the night, or our kids can't go outside in the front to play in front of their own home. That's the things that I was thinking about. So I was trying to like make it like easy that I can find something that had a backyard, something that had space that my kids can play in, even though we wasn't outside.
right.
So,
Especially in this past couple of years when everything happening, you don't want your kids to go too far around other people, but you have your own yard is much more convenient, and your child could still get fresh air and be,
and
exercise and things
and
like
I
that.
and I had this is not my first time doing this voucher. This is my second time. Before the pandemic actually hit, like in 2018, I had got the voucher. I had got the voucher. The pandemic strike, everything went closed.
Of course.
Um, I didn't feel like it was like a need because like everything is on lockdown. I
Right.
didn't think that it would be easy to find an apartment too during this time because nobody wanted to meet. You couldn't interview nothing. You couldn't see anything. Everything was done over like on the phone.
Right.
You had to Zoom to look at the apartment. That's not things that I wanted to do. So I fell back on the voucher. I wasn't looking. I wasn't doing any of that until I know that the pandemic was fully away.
Right.
So, like, as in 2021, I went back and I got my voucher. In 2022, I went back and I got my voucher, and I took full force from then. Like, I have to find a place. This is the second time of me getting a voucher. And in my head, I'm like, maybe they're not going. I'm sorry. In my head, I'm like, maybe they're not gonna give it to me again because this is my second time getting it, and I didn't find an apartment with it. So in my head, I was just doing a lot of he say, she say to myself, like
Right.
maybe it's not gonna happen, maybe it's gonna happen, and not knowing that if I never used the voucher, I never used the voucher. So it was never put in the system as in she used the voucher to get an apartment, left the apartment, try to get a new voucher or anything like that. So it was just like, oh, she took the voucher, never found nothing. Now she's back to renew the voucher.
Right.
So I thought of it like that.
It's so interesting because what you're saying earlier about how like you want to have a safe neighborhood, you want all these things, but people kind of think, oh, if you're homeless, just take anything. No, not because we're homeless, we should just take a hole in the wall and put ourselves or our children in that predicament in the first place. I
Yeah.
feel like we are people. We deserve the same thing like everybody else. Everybody wants to want a nice neighborhood, no crack and stuff on the floor, no homeless people on the like, it happens in New York City. Honestly, homeless is everywhere at this point. But
Mm-hmm.
certain things you don't want the gun shooting. You don't want a mother and father and children getting beat up next door or things like you don't want certain things around you. And not because we're homeless and we need a home, that means we should be taking any and everything what comes our way. And a lot of people get sucked into that because sometimes the shelter push you into situations you really don't want to be in, but because they said, oh, you have to take this or we take it away, or you have to take this, or you're gonna be in the shelter, you got kicked out of the shelter. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be that we should take a place that we're comfortable with us and our kids to be in the environment that we want to be in,
Yeah.
because most times families stay there for a couple of years. It's not usually like a year or two, depending on how your voucher go and what you got to do. Because if you're in the soda program, it's supposed to be a year. If you don't have money after that, you have to move because you can't stay
Mm-hmm.
there anymore. But if you're in the FAPS, it's usually a couple of years you could stay at a certain place or even have that particular voucher. So why would we want to stay there? Could you imagine staying in a place where rats, roaches, people shoot it? So you have rats crawling on you, roaches crawling on you, and gun violence. I gotta pick a struggle, and it should not be that picking up those as a struggle.
And
So
speak
it's
due to
crazy.
the fact that you said that, I was just watching the news the other morning, and in the Bronx, this lady, she have two little kids, big rats. I mean, big rats, like size of garbage rats outside
Oh my
in
god,
her apartment, eating her food, knocking over things,
not my
and
food.
playing in her kids' stuff. And she's showing it on a video at nighttime. Like this is what she has to worry about because she can't sleep at night because of her kids and the rats running around. And these are some big rats. When I say big rats, I mean big rats.
It's cat rats. It's ridiculous. It's not
And
even
in
rats
my head,
anymore.
I was like,
They
I'd
over
rather be homeless.
exactly, and people
I'm
don't
not
think
putting
that
my kids through that.
it's a lot. Like you can't sleep. That means if you can't sleep, you can't function right in the daytime. You watching your kids if they're in school, you have to go to work, and it's like you have to sleep at work, can't even do your job productively because you thinking of like you sleeping and you think about I have to this the hell I have to go back home to. It doesn't make sense, but people think because because you in a shelter, so you just take anything. No, it's not like that. We deserve
No.
the best, just like everybody else. We came on hard times. People come in the situation a different ways, so it is what it is. Like,
But due to our skin color, they feel like, oh, they're gonna pick anything. They need it, they want it.
right?
It took me a whole year to get an
Wow.
apartment.
How did
It
that
took
go
me
for you? Like, how did you go picking? Where did you go looking for apartments? Because a lot of people ask me on YouTube all the time, how do you
what?
find apartments? And everybody doesn't work with people, and it's also a source of discrimination. And the mayor is trying to do a whole thing coming up, and we'll see how that next step goes. But how did you find your apartment with your voucher?
Okay, I was with the home base that was in Flushing. I'm gonna just say Flushing. It was in Flushing, Brooklyn. It was in Brooklyn. It was in Flushing, and one day the lady just called me because I talked to her on a regular because I could never get in touch with my housing specialist, which he's not a bad housing specialist. He's not a bad housing specialist. He just dealt with the whole Brooklyn, like the
Right.
whole borough of Brooklyn, and he didn't have
No
no
help.
help with that.
Yeah.
He was the only housing specialist for Brooklyn. So I felt like kind of bad. So like when I used to text him and stuff like that, he never used to answer. So then I used to start going to my case manager, which her name was Miss Charmaine. She worked in a home base. She was a director. And she called me one day. I'm outside. It's a summer day. I'm outside with my kids. They're getting wet. And she's like, could you take down this number? But remind you, she gave me the broker number before. And he
Right.
told me he didn't have nothing. And you know, when you get with a broker and you using a voucher, they want credit score, they want the income, they want all of this. And I'm giving him that. He's like, well, some people have higher scores. And I just had to call her back, like, listen, I'm giving him everything he needs. And I don't understand why I need all of this extra stuff when I'm giving him a full voucher.
Right.
He's getting a full voucher. All right, he want my credit score, that's okay. My income, that's okay. Well, my income, that's okay. But the credit score and stuff like that, like I feel like that's a little bit beyond the point. Because if you're using a full voucher for somebody that's on a voucher and they get an apartment, and to my knowledge, like I was just like, if I have a voucher and you didn't see me put like I had this many jobs or anything down, wouldn't you just be like, okay, we're gonna just go off of the voucher. We're not gonna ask her personal like credit score or anything like that. We're gonna just do just like go off the voucher. We're not gonna ask her no personal information. We're gonna go just what the voucher says, go off the money income, and let's do it like that. Not in New York City. You got a credit check, you got a background check, you got to have earned incomes, you got to have a bank account, you got to have so much stuff. You have to have so much stuff. So, I just thought like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna get this apartment. But when I spoke to the director, she was like, don't listen to what he's saying. This is what she honestly told me because I was telling her, I don't think I'm going to get this apartment because I called this man before and he kept asking me, like, oh, do you have a job? Do you have an income? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I'm like, I gave him all of that stuff. Maybe it wasn't good enough for him, but I'm using a voucher. Like, what is the problem? It's 2 bedrooms. It's a voucher. Everything is being paid for. I could pay my part. I could pay
Right.
my part of the money. I gave him income papers. So she called me one day and she's like, you have to go look at the apartment. Now I'm already in a predicament that's not suitable for me and my kids.
Right.
So I'm just like, okay, do I look at it? Do I ask him to send me pictures or do I sign the lease today? Ask him to send me some pictures. I asked to sign the lease. Like I have to take it. I need to start somewhere because that had been the second time I let the voucher go down and I didn't do nothing with it. So I was just like, let me try my luck. I'm gonna just take it. Let's see where it lands me at. About like in 3 months, I have got the place. So it took me it was in like I think that was like in July, August, if I'm not mistaken. I had to be like in August when they gave me the phone call about the apartment, and I didn't get into this apartment until like October, until the ending of October.
That's a
Like
long time.
mid-October, I didn't get into this apartment.
So did it seem like I from what I understand with city FEPs and FEPs, it's like a lot of documentation that you have to do. They ask you for a lot of information because anything city, city wise, they want to know your mother name, your father name, your auntie name, your cousin's shoe size. They want to know everything.
They want to know
So
everything.
right. Did you think the process was easy for you? Because the process is easy. I mean, different for everyone, even though it's the same paperwork. But depending on if who's helping you do it and things like that. Did you see it as hard to fill out or do for you in your opinion?
I felt like it was hard because it took a lot. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to actually get somebody to help me first,
Right.
and then to get somebody to accept this voucher. Because remind you, everybody in New York City, they don't have city FEPs. They got Section 8 or housing, anything like that. So somebody hearing like, oh, they got city FEPs. I don't want that. That's not Section 8. It's not housing. It's not something like that. So, everybody would discriminate. And that was like a big thing to me, like being discriminated against. Like when I was on like the little sites and stuff like Zillow and stuff like that, and I would reach out to a broker. I would let them know that I have a voucher. I would never hear nothing back from them after I said I had a voucher. So it was like being discriminated against, and it was very hard because, I thought it was just because the voucher. Some people had messed it up before, not paying or just moving in with the voucher and not doing what they're supposed to do. So, I just felt like, okay, maybe I'm being discriminated against because of what used to happen before. And
Right.
I'm like, but I never had a voucher, so why should I be discriminated against?
That's how it is weird. So they have different things for the voucher now. It's been updated. As you know, in the past year or two, they had I want to say two increases. I know for sure it's one. I'm gonna say it's two increases. So the money part was also a thing because it's under market rent. People saying now because of inflation, everything is still kind of under it, but people are trying to work with it at this point, and it's easier in certain boroughs to get certain, like example, Far Rockaway tends to be a little bit easier, and in the Bronx, which honestly they seem like I have a lot of housing in the Bronx, but a lot of people don't want to live in the Boogie Down, so it all depends. I personally don't want to live in the Boogie Down. I would prefer live in Brooklyn. I grew up in Queens, so and I lived in Bronx for a little bit when I was in the shelter. So I tried at this point. I lived in Manhattan too, but like not that long though. But it's like a couple of days. The 10 period day that they give you in shelter and all that. So only one I have not technically lived in was Staten Island, that's out of the way anyway. But but
Mm-hmm.
what happens because city FEPs takes so long and FEPs take so long for people to actually get into the apartment, landlords complain about not getting payments on time. But in general, with the city giving out money, their money always tend to be delayed, regardless of anything. The only thing I think they're on top of it most times is like food stamps and they cash assistance when you in it for a while. When you first get it, sometimes I feel like it's kind of delayed, to be honest. And then when recertification come around, so there's another problem right there. So I think that's a lot of landlords say, oh, they don't get paid in time, or like if it takes 3 months to get in, they don't get 3 months of rent. They kind of change out a little bit with the EHV voucher, which is I forgot what, but the emergency Section 8. I call it the bootleg version of Section 8 because it's not for your lifetime. Like Section 8 is kind of in a way, because Section 8, if you income out of it, that's one thing, but this one is only supposed to be for 10 years. So it's like it's an emergency voucher. There you go. It's an emergency voucher that they did during ONA, and they said all of it is given out already, but everybody has not used it. So it all depends on how that goes also. But not the point, guys. So I think is a lot of problem with the voucher with that. And some people don't understand CFEP so much, and also the paperwork for it is crazy. And then there's so much steps to it you have to do. They're supposed to be doing inspections. People have told me they have not got an inspection, but yet they have gotten through. It's not supposed to be like that, but it is what it is. They only have 10 inspectors for New York City, so that's another problem. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. So it's the whole thing with that voucher, to be honest. But that's a little bit about the voucher. Hey guys, thank you for coming to the end of this podcast. We hope to see you and hear from you next week. If you have any questions or anything, any concerns, or any resources that you would like to pass on, or any job openings for people in general, we don't not only people who are homeless look at our podcast or anything like that, and it is hard to get a job nowadays. So if you have any resources of any kind, any sort, we would love to pass it on to our Hear Our Voices community. If you don't know, I think I said at the beginning of this video, I don't know, I record them at different times. We have a Spanish podcast coming out soon, so we are trying to get people for that also. If you would like to give resources for that, which I think no matter what, if you're Spanish or not, resources are resources. But if you are a Spanish-speaking person and have your story that you want to tell, we'd love to have you on. But if you're a person with resources who does speak Spanish, we'd love to have you so you could be a translator for us so we can get that information out to people. I'm not going to be the person, if you don't know, I only speak one language. So there will be a young lady, she was on our podcast before, who will be doing that. So yes, guys, thank you for listening and talk to you guys next time. Bye. See you later.